I would have to go with the Danglers. Their history is looking a little bit more confident. And as much as I like Animal House, unfortunately the Danglers have a little bit more confidence when it comes to actually winning these matches. But we'll see. It's a new season. It's only week number 2. And we'll have to see if Animal House can show up with some new strategies to be able to take the win here. The first round is going to be starting right now, ladies and gentlemen. Animal House will be on the attack. The Danglers will be on the defense. They'll be defending the northeast uplink point, hiding in between one of the main compounds here on the east side of the market.
And we have Animal House coming up through the southwest portion of the map. 2 of these players are going pretty aggressive into the central market area. And it looks like the three of his teammates are in the far south end of the map, and they're moving towards the east end pretty quickly.
So they are going to try to take as much ground as possible, as this is a slightly suboptimal spawn position for the defenders to work off of. It gives the attackers a little bit more map control. A lot of who wins and loses these rounds, specifically for this uplink point, will come down to control of the east street, the main street you can see over there. And if anyone is able to sneak their way into that compound on the very far east side of the map, or get themselves into the alleyway on the top north side. Now, it looks like for the most part, Animal House is going to be ignoring the north alleyway. They have one player that's in the vicinity of it that we might see push up. He's the one that's on the west side right now. Might try to cross the street in a few moments. But other than that, it seems like pretty much everyone is going to try to group up in this southeast compound and attempt to push up into the uplinks compound from there.
Let's see how patient this player on the Danglers side is of things. He's on the far north end of the map, and it looks like he's going to try to punish one of the Animal House players if he decides to peek that angle on that north street.
Now, the other interesting thing with this map is, while it is similarly sized to a map like Suburbia, it's a lot more claustrophobic. There's a lot more actual buildings you can go in and out of, which means a lot more hiding spots for the defenders. And that means for the attackers, there's a lot more pre-firing and just angles you have to check before you can, with confidence, move into an area and assume you're safe. So we can see, for instance, Expeditor out in the open inside of one of these buildings right now. Silent Knight, I think, is trying to track him down and isolate him, but it's going to take some time, as unfortunately, due to the low TTK, you can't just go rushing into buildings attempting to pre-fire, as if you pre-fire the one wrong spot, you're normally not going to get a chance to check a second one.
Definitely, and Silent Knight is a little bit alone in this corner of the central market, and so he's going to have to be a little more patient, allow his teammates to kind of gather some intel, perhaps pull some aggro for him to create an opening.
We'll see. He might try to push himself down the alleyway for a little bit of intel here too. Almost half the time already gone away for the Animal House here. And while they have been able to crunch themselves pretty close to the uplink, they unfortunately haven't made a whole lot of progress in actually clearing it out just yet. That'll change now. A quick 1-to-1 trade, unfortunately, won't really go into the favor of the Danglers that much, but Will-O-the-Wisp makes up for it, gets the completed kill, and does make that a quick 1-for-1 exchange. Will is going to pre-fire into the next room, try to pop out a smoke as well, but Silent Knight will actually pick up another down onto Expeditor just after he was smoked out. Expeditor, well, actually, it seems like he's going to finish himself off as he was down with some unfortunate timing. A nade in his hand. Willow, a nice adjustment there as Lure seemed like he would have had him dead to rights, but is not the case. Manages to turn that back around. Unfortunately, he will still fall in the trade, but at least gets revenge on it, bringing the Danglers down to only one player. Green Theft Auto is going to try to finish this off for the Animal House. They've got one member of the Danglers remaining, and he seems to have a pretty good idea as to where he's positioned. However, he's got to be careful not to die to his teammate's own nade. And there we go. Silent Knight moves in for the last pickup, and Animal House take round number 1.
Yeah, Danglers there in a tough situation. It was a 1 versus 3. A little bit out of reach for him to get into, but it looked like he was priming a grenade there at the end.
Yeah, maybe trying again to just, because he knew he had probably quite a few players sitting on the inside of that little market or store right there, so maybe was trying to quickly isolate and take those 2 players down to turn it around, but just didn't really pan out. Ultimately had too much pressure onto him too quickly, and that is oftentimes how we see these 1vx situations falling, is the superior team or the team with superior numbers just tries to swarm onto that one player as quickly as possible, especially in a map that's as closely knit together as Bazaar, where you can kind of freely move in that situation without much of a risk, especially when they know exactly where that last player is.
Now, Animal House is known for their shenanigans. We didn't see those shenanigans, but they're up 1-0. Maybe they found out the recipe for success here.
A pretty confident 1-0 as well. Normally rounds that we would see from them would be one a little bit closer, I think, against the Danglers, but they take this one with the solid 3 players still left standing. So that's a pretty good win on the attacking side, too. So this is a great start for Animal House, and we'll see if they can rally this into another win, if they can win the same site, just on defense.
Silent, I'm watching south.
He's watching South Blue.
Someone just got benched, apparently, according to the comms from Animal House, so...
Here they go. It looks like 3 players from the Animal House are sticking together. They're moving fairly quickly towards the Central Market east side in the hotel courtyard. And they're going straight to that uplink to try to set up their positions for the defense here.
Pretty similar defensive matrix overall is going to be set up here for Animal House, though. But Danglers taking a different formula. They're already shifting one player to the extreme north to try and take that alleyway back above the North Street. Rest of the team is, again, kind of leaving this open to interpretation, but primarily trying to take the southeast compound and then push up to the northeast compound where the uplink is from there.
Seems like both teams on the defensive side are really prioritizing that north street. They've both had one player fully dedicated to watching that street. And it looks like Danglers is trying to lurk his way through.
Lipinski crouched behind one of the tank spikes here. Was actually able to find a kill pretty early on as well, but the Executioner is going to be able to trade that out pretty quickly by finding a down and a kill onto Green Theft Auto.
Well, it looks like there's 4 minutes left in the round, down to a 4 versus 4. Those kills came pretty quickly, and another one.
This is I'm amazed they haven't found him yet, considering that they have 2 players like relatively close to Lipinski's position. But yeah, he's just sitting here. He's going to have another opportunity in a second, too. He currently can't see this player because he's behind the tank. It's Nintendo a little bit further down the street. But Lipinski's just silent but deadly here behind the tank stoppers, and he's doing a pretty good job of isolating out the Danglers. Now, the last player he took out didn't fully go down as Riboman sitting in the open right there on the left side, so there is a chance for Nintendo to take him out. In fact, they're going to try to nade Lipinski right now.
Oh, that's a Kobe.
Perfect.
Wow.
Kobe and a half right there. And if that failed, they had Lure, you can see just on the other side of the wall. He probably would have been able to see him, but had a good way to try and pinch. Maybe it would have ended up in a 1-to-1 exchange, but at minimum would have finally eliminated him. So, with him being dealt with, Lipinski being dealt with, they've been able to evenly trade out the frags as well, bring it down to a 3v3, and can now resume their push to the uplink.
Thankfully, he was able to revive the member on Danglers and making it into a 3 versus 3 situation. We have Will of the Cusp here. Looks like he's on the west end of the map. Oh, and he just takes contact versus Luller and goes down very quickly.
That's a good example of not getting proper communication out before you go down as well. We saw the nade connecting onto Lipinski. Never really called out that he had gone down, though. So that last player we saw get eliminated felt he was safe, peeked over the wall, didn't realize that Lure held the positioning behind him, and as a result was able to take him out quickly. This is going to start to evolve pretty quickly. Wicked Hex will be the last man left alive now for Animal House in a 1v3 situation. Finds Riboman pushing him, is able to take him out of the fight, and now he's been pinched. That's the problem. He's going to sit directly on top of the uplink, though, to prevent any attempt at an uplink. Attempt to try and still clutch this out to the best of his abilities. If he dies, though, not a big deal. The Danglers will win it, but they're only going to get 1 point instead of getting the uplink.
And Nintendo, I'm not sure if I'm saying that name right, but... Pardon? Nintendo. What a round from him. He had a beautiful flank in that round. He actually, I think both of the kills that he got were enemies that weren't even looking in his direction.
Yeah.
And so it was definitely a really nice round from him.
We saw Lipinski getting naded out there too. Definitely a good round for Lipinski being able to pick as many players as he did from the South Street. Just unfortunately bit off a little bit too much and was naded out a few moments later, and the rest of his teammates just weren't able to hold as efficiently on that northeast part of the map. We saw their player in the north alleyway get traded out 1-for-1 pretty quickly due to a push from there, and then in the final fight we saw them deteriorating pretty quickly. I think, again, mainly due to the lack of communication and how quickly some of their more far-out defenders ended up getting eliminated, made them feel like they had more map control than they actually did. So we had a few players kind of walking into places where they didn't actually have control and throwing their lives away as a result of that.
Definitely. It seems like communicating in this game, as you mentioned earlier, with that voice proximity, it's pretty tough.
Yeah.
Have you seen teams purposely communicating with each other to try to throw the enemies off?
I've never caught an example of that, but I would not be surprised if we've seen that happen quite a few times, where someone knows that they've got an enemy close and they want to try to throw them off. I mean, we've heard... there was an example last week, and I don't know if it was an attempt to bait someone out, but we saw someone...
Are these legitimate codes, Blue?
I think you might be trying to drill it into their minds. Let's see.
I mean, he looks like a man with a plan.
He's got an arm for that nade, that's for sure. He chucks that one into the market. We did see the uplink move, by the way, and it's gone directly to the market spawn. This is actually the most common. This is the most common one we've seen it actually be completed, where the uplink actually goes off. So we'll see if Animal House is able to pull it off and just end the map right here. But due to the setup that Danglers have, it's certainly going to be quite difficult. The very centralized defense. Normally, the defenders are a little bit more spread out here. But you can see Animal House has used like 3 or 4 of their smokes right at the start of the round to try and block out Danglers' point of view so that Animal House can take as much market control as possible.
I like this from Animal House, actually. It seems that this is a strategy we haven't seen from them. They've got a player in the far west moving very quickly towards that central market. And it looks like those smoke grenades in the middle that they threw in the beginning is just a distraction point. They're just trying to create some sort of distractions to allow for their teammate on that far west to create some sort of flank.
Weller, I think, accidentally pulling his trigger right there, so he's going to make a little bit of noise. He's got the silencer, though, so should hide him a little bit better. The Executioner, in the meanwhile, finds a nice frag from inside of the alleyway. He's able to take out Lipinski. Expediter is going to pick one up as well, but Will-O-the-Wisp will be able to trade it. Downing Expediter.
Solid strategies coming up from Animal House.
The mind games. Unfortunately, Will-O-the-Wisp is maybe going to find himself a victim of another close-range engagement here in just a second. Weller hiding just behind this. Let's see what Willow is attempting to do.
It looked like he was doing a booby trap.
I was trying to figure out if he threw a tornado or something like that. No, I think he just had his hand on the gun. Oh, runs right into Weller's face, though. Willow, nicely done. Keeping the KD up nice and high as he finds another pickup here. I don't think he takes any damage from that either.
It looks like that flank from the Animal House player is finally coming through. Let's see if his patience is going to pay off here. It did take him quite some time to make it here, but we still have 3 minutes left on the round, Blue.
Yep, and Animal House is continuing to push in. In fact, we're looking at a player that might move in for the uplink attempt in just a second here. You can see them directly on top of it. There's still quite a few defenders watching the uplink, though, so it's going to be pretty hard to accomplish, but Animal House is very, very quickly surrounding and getting control. Riboman finds a nice hold, counters out the flank from Wicked Hex with a quick headshot on the AK-12. And now it's all pressure from the south for the most part here. The Danglers also not even realizing the fact that they're going to have a few players still trying to push them from the other side as well. So Will-O-the-Wisp picks up one more before Nintendo is able to take him out. He's actually got a pretty nice position inside of the fountain. So Silent Knight's going to have to try and deal with that. Will-O-the-Wisp, it's confirmed. Oh, spins it around for the headshot on the Silent Knight, taking him out. And the Danglers steal the round, seemingly right out of the hands of Animal House, who are looking great until that final execution from the north.
Wow, Nintendo really coming up big for Danglers, pulling them out from the trenches there. He had 6 kills. He has 6 kills so far, far above the rest of his teammates, and he really saved them there. I was getting a little worried for Danglers there for a little bit because of that flank coming in from Animal House, but it got shut down as soon as it got started.
Yeah, really solid stuff from Nintendo and the rest of the squad there to turn it around, especially considering how quickly that started to evolve. Like we talked about before, comms and general info that's given to these players is a bare minimum. You only are given the info on what you physically see in the game or what your teammates are communicating to you. You don't even see a kill feed. So considering that, players will find themselves in a very desperate situation very quickly, and they might not even realize it. So good stuff to the guys on Danglers for being able to keep it together. They now are on map point, but of course they go to the attack on this centralized uplink. They win it out normally. They've got the map 3-1, and they will give Animal House a loss and give themselves a win here in what I believe is round number 1 of today's Swiss system.
I think getting the points on the attacking side is so important in these series.
Defense, generally speaking, is a little bit easier to do because you're sitting in a standard angle. There's not a lot of movement involved. So generally speaking, as long as you are watching what you're supposed to watching, you should be able to do your job pretty well. Even if you lose the fight, there's a good chance you're going to get some intel out before you go down and your teammates can play off that attack. There's way more variables, way more things that can go wrong, essentially, and way more that you have to change on the fly. And that's why it's always proven itself to be far more difficult to not only win rounds on attack, but attempt to get the uplink as well, if you can even get that far.
Absolutely. Well, it seems the round has started. Again, Danglers are up 2-1. Looks like Expediter's setting up, and it looks like Nintendo already takes out Lipinski fully, and now it's a 5 versus 4 situation here.
So he's going to find one pickup very early on in the round. Lure will hold his position for the rest of it, it seems. Riboman is going to come under some pressure here relatively quickly from the south flank, as they did move out. They tried to go incredibly aggressively with this, the Danglers have, and it seems like it's working really well. Animal House don't even seem to know it's hitting them. Silent Knight finally responds by taking out Llewellyn. The smokes are coming in here as well. Silent Knight actually taking the same position that we saw Nintendo using in the previous round by the fountain. One more kill is picked up by Animal House, but unfortunately they lose another player. After that, the trades are going all over the place, though. We've got the Mexicationer going to try to swing in from the north. Same thing we saw last round. Actually, no. Mexicationer's going to try to go for the uplink. I don't know if they've even noticed it. This should be really easy for him to pull off right here. And this might be the end of the game. He's going right for it, and there you go. Walks right in. The uplink is gone. And we have the overcap now from the Danglers as they win it, not on 3, but on 4 points to Animal House's 1.